This is the end. It's the third part of our epic interview with creator John Wagner. Welcome and Borag Thung to 2000 AD, The Creator Tapes. I'm your host, Molchar. And on this episode, we round out this, 3-hour-long interview with one of the greatest comic book creators of all time, John Wagner, co-creator of Judge Dredd, Fronting Dog, etc., etc. You've heard all this before. If you've not listened to episodes 1 and 2, I really recommend you go back on our YouTube or on the podcast app that you're listening to this on to really savor the chat with the master, because this has been a treat, not just for me, but also, I hope, for you. So on this episode, we kind of round things out with chatting a bit more about John's career, what he would have done differently, his taste in music, which is an interesting little diversion, as well as a bit more on this supposedly being the last time that he'll write Judge Dredd, which is a bit more nuanced than you think. So thank you to everyone who's fed back on the previous episodes. It's been much appreciated. I'm really glad that you've enjoyed and got something out of this interview. I certainly have. So yeah, it's a case of sit back, relax, and it's another 50 minutes or so of me chatting to John Wagner about comic books. I mean, what more could you want from a podcast? Talking about the way that you structure a lot of the stories, you've really gone in for the slow burn in recent years, where it really is a procedural. You know, there was that big shift when you did The Pit in the 1990s, leaning into the kind of the Hill Street Blues kind of stuff, and then you seem to move into just really enjoying the laying out the story, taking your time, point after point after point, making the reader wait for it. And that seems to create quite a response in the reader, you know, rather than demanding, I don't know, lots and lots of action up front. They seem to enjoy the slow burn of it all.
Yeah, I think they like the continuity in Dredd. It's... I like returning to old ideas, you know, picking up where I left off. There's no real plan, and people seem to think I've planned it all out, but I'm not capable of that. You know, I just take it as it comes and just build on what's come before. And I think, well, what's the next logical event? What's going to happen next, or what might happen next? Like all the Mechanismo stuff. God knows how many Mechanismo stories I've written now.
I think we've got some 3 collections out of it so far, which is quite something.
I've enjoyed them. I think I'd rather be judged by a robot than a judge.
Well, I find it really interesting in the first couple of episodes of Death of a Judge, where you almost replay the original reveal of the Mechanismo robots right back at the beginning of the whole saga in the magazine, where, you know, they're brought in to a hostage situation. Bang, 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 bang. Everyone's really happy. Kids are climbing all over them. You know, yay, Mechanismo. There is always, and this is very much, I think, what happens when people look at things in hindsight. They begin to see patterns, or they begin to assume that there was a plan all along. But you are very good at turning full circle, and make it seem as if you're coming back to, you know, the whole point. But
I'm going to tell you now, it was all planned.
And there's a book, and you're not going to show it, and it'll be burnt upon your death.
I try and pretend that I didn't know what I was doing, but I've known it all along. Oh, yes.
Yeah. I know you said not to pay attention to anything that you say, What made you say / imply that this was going to be your last Dredd story?
Because I think it may well be.
All right.
But I don't know. I'm not earning any money, so it may come to the point where I think, oh God, got to think of something. I just don't want to sort of rack my brains anymore. If it comes to me, I'll do it. I'm at the point now where I could practically write a Dredd in my sleep if I get the right idea. But it's finding the right idea after, I don't know how many Dredds I've written, a couple of thousand. Well, maybe not that many, I don't know.
Well, no, if you include the Daily Star strips, then, I mean, there's hundreds of those.
I wish we'd gone on and done more of those, because I look back on them and some of them were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We didn't rate them at the time. I didn't think they were that worthwhile, but they were actually quite good. People keep wanting another collection of them, but I don't suppose Rebellion are going to do that.
We haven't got plans for one. The format is really difficult. It's a specialist type of format, so it makes them really expensive.
I suppose I like those books, so they're nice books.
It's always one of the challenges that I'd spent a lot of time recently explaining to people, that if something takes a long time to sell out, then reprinting it doesn't really make an awful lot of economic sense.
No.
You know, and that when people want something, it's very difficult to explain that to them. But, you know, every second an unsold copy sits in the warehouse, it's costing money.
Of course. When you do self-publishing, you begin to realise.
Well, I mean, as you say, comics are expensive.
I can show you boxes of them in my shed that I may never get rid of.
Yeah. Have you kept like old copies of stuff from like early 2000 AD and things like that?
I sold all my 2000 AD collection because the mice were starting to chew them. But I have most of the collections.
Right.
Although I like to get rid of them, but my daughter says, "Oh no, I want those. But I'd like to start selling them because I don't see why I need them now." And you know, if you're thinking of moving, you don't want to have to move all that stuff. So I was thinking of selling them all and just keeping one or two that I really like. Well, I like a lot of them, but I'll show you them tomorrow. I've got stacks and stacks of them. I haven't got much artwork. Alan used to have an awful lot of artwork. People would give him stuff, but they didn't like me, so they didn't give me anything. But artists would give Alan a lot of things. No, genuinely, they couldn't be bothered with me. So it's only people like Carlos gave me stuff, and Cam gave me some stuff.
Is there stuff that you maybe look at in the collections or whatnot and think, I have no memory of this whatsoever?
Oh yeah, there's some stories. People talk to me about stories I've written and I can't remember writing them. But there are some stories that, you know, I don't do it these days, but if I ever had crisis of confidence, I would go back to these stories and read them and think, oh, well, you can write, you know. That's the old imposter syndrome when I felt, you know, you've been getting away with it for too long.
So I was just looking, so like I said, I did ask if people had questions. I'll ask a couple now. What's your taste in music?
Jazz mainly, but I have quite an eclectic taste in music. But I got into. I always loved jazz, but I couldn't figure out what to buy.
Right.
And then I went to, whenever I bought something, I said, "Oh, I don't like that very much." And then I went to a jazz evening in Bishop's Castle down the road in a pub there, and I bought about 20 quid's worth of lottery tickets for a giveaway, and I won a jazz album by Hank Mobley.
Right.
And it was good. I listened to it. I thought, now this is what I like. And and Jenny's dad, my wife's dad, he's really into jazz.
Yeah.
And one of the things he bequeathed to me, or passed on to me early on, was Chet Baker. And especially the Chet Baker's Things He Sings. So there's a great album. People who want to get into jazz, it's called The Best of Chet Baker Sings. And it's got all the old favourites, and Chet Baker's got this really great, I thought he was a woman at first, great smooth jazz voice. So from there I just started buying different things from Amazon and reading Amazon reviews, and so I built up a huge collection of jazz.
Right.
But also like a lot of really good 60s stuff and 70s stuff. Oh, I've got quite wide tastes.
Is the jazz something that you play when you're writing, for example? Is it?
No, I used to. The only music I ever really listened to when I was writing was back in the 70s, and that was Radio Caroline.
Right.
And I found that quite helpful. But since then, I've just needed quiet. Jazz is something I listen to for pleasure. But these days, I just like a lot of different things, like Van Morrison and Dr. John, quite a wide range of stuff.
Yeah.
Jazz, people like God. Oh, never. It's gone. Miles Davis.
Oh, right. Okay.
And the guy who turned Miles Davis on to heroin. Sorry, too many.
No. I mean, we're so far beyond my knowledge base. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask another question.
Gene Ammons.
Right.
Gene Ammons introduced Miles Davis to heroin.
Right.
Gene Ammons spent most of his time in jail.
Right.
Oscar Peterson.
Right.
People want check him out. Anyway.
So I'm not going to read out this person's username because it's obscene. I've always wanted to know, in John's mind, did Dredd fully reject Fargo's last words, "It wasn't supposed to be forever"? Or does it still play on Dredd's conscience?
It certainly does.
Right.
Yes. But he's prepared to ignore it for the benefit of Justice Department, which is his first love.
Yeah.
He's too rigid in his thinking to really accept it or do anything about it. But it's got to worry him.
It was interesting what you said earlier about whether the judges will continue forever. Because some, numpty wrote a whole book about it. And there's that Antonio Gramsci, the Italian Marxist, who wrote about, this is the time of morbid symptoms, when the future struggles to be born. And the judges
Getting a bit deep there for me.
Well, quite. I loved your review of the book. It said thorough and intelligent. Thank you.
Right, yours.
Yeah. But it's the judge's iron control of everything has to be self-sustaining. It has to continue, because if he even moves an inch, as we saw with Tour of Duty, it'll all just fall apart.
Yeah, it's like running before the wind. If you try and turn around, you capsize.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah. Plus, their training won't allow anything else.
Yeah.
It's this Jesuit thing. If they start letting doubt in, the whole thing collapses.
This is a random question. Did you have any religious instruction when you were younger?
Yeah, I was actually president of our youth fellowship in the Presbyterian Church, until they realised I was a turd ball and they kicked me out. And then I accidentally stuck my hand up my brother's girlfriend's skirt sitting in a choir practice, and I was sort of ostracized by the whole community for my...
Accidentally.
I was just sort of going behind me. I didn't even, I wouldn't have stuck I had no interest in that at the time. But yeah, I twisted people's arms so they voted for me. I wasn't a nice. And
am I to assume from all of this that means there wasn't really any conviction in that particular aspect of your life?
When I joined the Boy Scouts for the very short time before I got kicked out,
I'm sensing a theme.
I had this sort of epiphany where I realised that God wanted me and I was unworthy, but that lasted about one night. Hello, darling.
A little pink bullet has just entered the room.
But no, and my mother decided that we should go to church because you needed to sort of be part of the community. Not that she went. So, so she sent me and my brother out to Sunday school every Sunday, and round about the age of 11, I realised this was just such a load of shite. And I used to go out and pretend that I was going to Sunday school, but I went to a cafe and sat and drank a Coke and waited until it was time to come home. But the youth fellowship thing was about 6 o'clock at night. I don't know, it was a Saturday night or something, so...
You say that with Presbyterians?
Presbyterian,
Classic Scottish religious upbringing.
Yeah, but this was in America.
Oh, that was in America. Oh, right. American Presbyterians. Blimey.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the minister. I have nothing against Catholics, but these people along the road. It used to freak me out how all the Catholic girls on Ash Tuesday or whatever it was, Catholic kids used to come with this ash cross on their head. Oh boy, creepo. But I think round about 10 or 11 I realised that there was no God. I'm sorry for all you Christians listening to this, but...
Oh yes, the thousands of Christians who listen to the 2008 podcast.
True. Yeah. There was no God, and it was all made up and used as a vessel of control or whatever. So I have not been religious since then, and have scorned religion and held in contempt people who are religious. Incredibly intelligent people who still are religious. It surprises me.
Because you and Alan especially are very contemptuous in Dredd.
Are we? Well, God help me.
Well, yeah. Because I've mentioned this on the podcast recently, because in Alan's story, the Anderson story, Satan, you know, a city block tall Satan stood there, and the judges push all of the religious leaders out onto the West Wall, and multiple of them begin to recant as they get up there, and he makes them burst into flames anyway. Alan had a particular hatred of organised religion. I think.
Well, I think it's more contempt. The one that really hated him is Pat Mills.
Yes, yeah.
Pat was taught by monks.
Yeah, proper Catholic upbringing.
And he really, really hated them. I sympathise with him because when we were in Greece, Jenny and I went to a convention in Athens, and we were walking along the road with our guide, and we passed this church, and it looked really interesting with the black-clad priest in, and Jenny decided she would pop in. And the girl who was guiding us practically went, "Spare." He said, "No, leave a cleric, no cleric." Yeah, comic people generally aren't religious.
Yeah.
Although some are.
I'm conscious we've been talking a long time.
Had enough?
No, never. That's part of the problem. I kind of wanted. I need to do a bit of like bringing it full circle.
Yep.
What are your emotions at this time regarding your career? At the point where this may possibly, maybe not, be your last story on Dredd.
Yeah.
But looking back on the career that you've had, obviously you've touched on it. There's an element of gratitude and everything. But in a world where things are going a bit pear-shaped, when so much of what the strip was parodying has come to pass. What are your emotions as the person who has done this?
Well, for a start, I'm amazed that I managed to get through so many years and keep it up. I'm saddened that a lot of it has come true. And I'm sort of very pleased that it has had such a good effect on a lot of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people come up and say to me and tell me how much influence and Dredd has been in their lives and how much help it has been to them. And I feel genuinely gratified to hear that. Because, it's nice to think you've had a beneficial influence on people. Yeah. And I like to say to them, I feel I've corrupted half the population. But I mean corrupted in a good way.
Yeah.
It's really nice to think that my work has brought so much pleasure to people. It's
and pleasure to you as well.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt, yeah. It has been a great life. I can't imagine anything else I could have made a decent whack at. For a start, I've been I suppose if I'd been a plumber or something, but I'm not very good at that sort of thing. I've been my own boss.
Yeah.
If I didn't like working for one company, I could go and work for somebody else. I've obviously always liked working for 2000 and the British people.
Yeah.
So that's been great. It's been a really good life, and I look back on it with great pleasure and fondness. I'm kind of glad that it's over. I'm glad that what I'm glad is I don't have to rack my brains every morning to think up something new.
Yeah.
But if I do think up something new and I think it's worth writing, then I probably will write it. Just at the moment, I still have enough of my last Button Man royalty stuck away so that I don't immediately have to go to work. I started investing in funds with Hargreaves Lansdowne. It's like posh gambling, and it's good, you know. I've done quite well. I'm in gold at the moment.
Oh, right, okay.
Stupidly, I got into gold, and then I thought, oh, I've made a nice wee profit. I'll sell it. And since then, it's gone up about 100%. So I'm getting back in and hoping it's still going to rise.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's fun. It's fun investing in shares. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, it's been a really good life. I like a lot of the people I meet. I really like comic fans, almost without exception. I met one or two that I don't particularly like, but most of them I think are really nice people, and they're bright, intelligent. You know, I don't like stupid people, and there aren't many stupid comic fans, funnily enough.
Is it always, I mean, you've had a couple of these on your Facebook page, I know. Is it always a bit jarring when you meet somebody who is pro-Trump and pro-ICE and whatnot, while claiming to be a Judge Dredd fan?
It's really good because it means I can unfriend them. And I use it. I mean, if I see anyone spouting Trumpish nonsense, I check, are we friends? And then we're not. Just not having any of that.
Yeah.
But there aren't many. But you can rest assured, if you're a Trump supporter and I discover that, then we're not friends anymore. But there aren't many. It's hard for me to think of many comic fans that I don't actually like. They're really good people. It's the intelligence. They're bright people. Can't say the same for editorial. No, seriously, folks. It took me, because I'm quite conservative, it took me a while to get used to dyed hair and tattoos all over the place. It's not me. I'm very staid. I like Dan, he's covered in tattoos. I got used to it. It doesn't bother me anymore, but it used to. I used to find it a bit strange that people would do that. But I'm thinking of getting a tattoo now.
Oh, really?
Well, I've said this before. So many people have got tattoos of my characters on them. I'm thinking of getting a tattoo of a fan. If I can figure out the archetypal fan, maybe I need to choose one. Like, I don't know, like Rufus Dayglow.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not that he's just a fan, but I mean, he looks like a fan.
Well, I mean, he's a living comic book.
Yeah. Well, Rufus, I may be getting a tattoo of you.
You know what? I think that would probably be the greatest honour of his life, I'm honest with you.
Oh, I'm getting it on my arse.
Even better. Even better.
I can just imagine saying to Neil Sims, can you do me a Rufus Dayglow on my arse? I'm only joking, Rufus. I wouldn't have you on my arse.
Oh dear. It's one of those, I mean, we've talked about this before, and people crave an ending. They, to any story, it's the George R.R. Martin problem. That when you start a narrative, people want a beginning and a middle and an end.
Yeah.
And particularly with, the implication that this might be the last Dredd.
I know where you're going. They're not going to get one.
Well, that was going to be my question, because we talked about it before, and you'd mentioned, I'll write it and I'll put it in a safe and it'll be there, and I think an awful lot of people took you seriously at that. But is it, from your perspective?
Well, if enough people pledged £100 each, I probably need about 100 of them. I will.
No, go for 1,000. Go for 1,000.
1,000. Yeah, 1,000. I will write a complete Death of Dredd story, and I will send it to you for your eyes only. But I asked Matt if I could write one. He said, yeah, you can, sure, as long as it's a sort of what if.
Right.
And I started to write it, and I thought, oh, fuck this. It's like, what's the point in writing? So I can't remember what story it was, but I turned it into a normal.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder. No, I can't remember what story it was, but I turned it into a normal Dredd because it wasn't working. What's the point in writing what ifs? Yeah.
Well, that's kind of one of the consequences of Dredd as a character, and that notion of linear time, and whether that helps the character or holds him back. But then, to bring things full circle, the way that you write is that you begin and you don't know where it's going, and you work it out along the way, but you need some reason to keep writing. And if it's an imaginary story, if at the end it's going to be, and it was all a dream, that's not a good enough ending. So I guess my question is your reluctance to write that story as a what if because it needs to mean something in order to keep your interest?
Yeah, that's exactly it, yeah. Plus, there's a thing about death. I mean, Alan and I wrote The Death of Giant, and nobody was satisfied with it because it was just out of the blue. It wasn't a noble death.
Yeah.
It was just, and yet so many deaths are like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the life is like that. That's why one of the reasons I don't like knowing what's happening in a story, because life will always surprise you. Events. You just don't know what's round the corner. You can have all these plans, and then something can happen that changes everything and totally alters the direction of your life.
Yeah.
And I think that fiction is better for it. And I've always thought that probably I was the only one that did it like this, but I don't think I am. I think a lot of writers are like that. They like to pretend that they plan it all out, but they don't. Plus, it's really. I mean, I admire Robbie Morrison for what he's doing, because he's got to work the whole thing out, and I imagine that he does. But my brain can't encompass that much. It's too much to think of. And does he work it all out? I don't know. I've probably asked him when we've been one of our occasional drinking sessions and been too drunk to listen to the answer. But he's done really well. Very pleased for him. What he needs now is for somebody, a TV company, to pick it up.
Did you? I can't remember if I asked you this before. Have you ever been tempted by prose?
Yeah, I like writing prose. I like it a lot. I remember at a Spanish convention, they were talking about history of violence, and someone in the audience says, I didn't really like the book, but I really loved your introduction.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, there's something much easier about writing prose, and there's not this rigid structure you have to do. You can run off at the mouth and explore avenues, and you're not restricted so much. I quite like writing prose. In a way, I've liked writing some elements of a life in comics because it's sort of free flow, and I can say what I like. Well, you know that Alan and I have written short stories. I'll probably, if I'm able to, print one of them in A Life in Comics, but I quite enjoyed writing them. I have thought of writing a novel, but I can't see it happening now. It's a very hard way of making a living unless you're one of the lucky few. You have to sell a hell of a lot of books to make a living.
Yeah.
As you know.
As I know very well. I got the privilege of a day job, so
Yeah, I think that's what you need. I don't think that many, even well-known writers, make a good living out of it. You have to be really like Lee Childs. Okay, he does really well. People like that, you sell in those numbers, and you get a real hit like Wolf Hall.
Well, Hilary Mantel. I mean, that's a
what a brilliant writer she was. Was. Yeah.
Here's a question: is there anything you wish you'd done in comics that you didn't get to do?
No.
No?
By and large. Thing is, I don't like writing other people's stories.
Well, even not necessarily other people's stories, but
apart from the death of Dredd.
Apart from the death of Dredd, but is there a kind of idea of wild abandon that is very John Wagner, that doesn't necessarily fit into the rest of what you do, an idea out of nowhere?
No, really, people have indulged me quite a lot whenever I wanted to do something. If it was at all appropriate, then go ahead, even when it was shite. Generally, I tried not to make them shite, but no, I can't think of anything really that I wanted to do. Maybe, well, I was enjoying the porn story.
I mean, you got through two pretty good artists on that one.
I know, they didn't enjoy it so much. Yeah. I imagine Carlos's wife saying, "No, you don't do this." Sorry, Conchita. No, I can't say I've ever felt there was anything I wanted to do that I haven't been able to do. Mainly, it's I've done it all for the money, just for to make a living. I mean, I'm lucky that it's been something that I enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
But it was. I mean, some people sort of have a vocation as a writer. I don't. It's just something that I can do and enjoy doing, but I've never felt I needed to be one.
But now you're talking to somebody who started his career as a journalist, so I was surrounded by people who had half a novel in their desk drawer and wrote thousands of words every single day. Actually, for me, that's the best way to write, is because you need to. Not necessarily because you have highfalutin ideas about literature, though that is perfectly legitimate. But actually, being a journeyman, learning your trade, and then plying your trade is nothing to be sniffed at. That's what journalism.
No, but you just expressed the difference there. You've got half a novel in your drawer. I don't.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that was mainly because they all dreamt of not working in local newspapers anymore.
but you wanted to write. You felt this thing inside you that said, "I got to write."
Yeah.
Well, I don't. I feel this thing in my bank book.
And that's no bad thing.
Says you've got to write. But I never woke up in the morning. Maybe things like Rock and the Bogeyman. So I felt really impelled to do another Rock.
Yeah.
And when we'd done the first Bogeyman, I really wanted to do another. But
is that because of the quality of the collaboration that you'd enjoyed working with Alan and
I
Robin
enjoyed
and
the result. Yeah, definitely enjoyed the result. It's things like the Kenny Hu story. I wanted to write another one because I just loved the character.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't have this burning desire in me to be a writer. I'm just lucky that it was something I could do and I've made a good living out of and really enjoyed. But it's like Pat sort of dragged me along on his coattails. He wanted to be a writer. Yeah. I just wanted to earn a living. And
you see, I based off what you've written for Your Life in Comics, I would take issue with that, because there was that whole period where you were trying various jobs and they'd last 2 days or 4 days or 2 weeks, and reading it there, I get a sense that you knew what you wanted to do.
No, the sense is I didn't like hard work. I really.
Who does?
I object. I mean, I don't mind working hard, but I don't like doing it for somebody else.
Yeah.
Like if I'm digging the garden, fine. Digging your garden, no. This work in this pipe coating factory all night, actually, while somebody's robbing the mansion.
For those who are listening who don't know, John was the caretaker of a stately home, was getting paid nothing, and so took a job in a pipe coating factory, and while he was on a shift, someone came and robbed all the lead off the roof. And you nearly got fingered for it, didn't you?
Well, the cops tried, yeah. But, you know, I wouldn't shit in my own nest. I'm
Plenty do.
I'm not above a bit of petty crime. But I wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Well, you nearly got done for salmon, illegal salmon fishing.
I wasn't salmon fishing. I just had a net out in the Firth.
My lord.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's in that same entry where eventually you get a telegram from IPC.
Yeah.
That says, "Come back, stop. We miss you, stop," or words to that effect. You wrote. I how much of that is actually projection that you were like, no, I did enjoy doing that. It was fun. I want to go back and do it. So that when the opportunity came, you were like, yeah, actually, that is what I want.
Well, I was kind of lost at the time. I'd gone back to Dundee. I really didn't know what I was doing. I had this flat, lonely flat in the 3rd floor on the Clippington Road, and I was writing a few stuff for the kiddies comics and IPC, and just didn't know where I was going. And then this telegram came, and it was like, bing, yes, here's a future. This is much better than what I'm doing. I'm not happy in Dundee. It's not where I belong. Right, and so back to London I went, and when we were doing it, they were giving us £100 a week, which back then was a lot of cash, a lot of dosh, which is why John Sanders didn't want us doing it for more than 6 weeks. In the end, we took 8. I think they kept paying us for quite a few more weeks, but began to feel like a bit of a spare prick. So,
and that was on Battle.
Battle, yeah. But yeah, it was. I really was lost, and I imagine most people go through periods in their life like that. They don't know what the hell they're doing and where they're going on. A lot of people leave school. I did, feeling, well, not that I cared. I didn't really care at that time, but I left school not knowing what I wanted to do, and I applied to be an accountant, and I didn't have the qualifications even for that, although I was pretty good with numbers. Ended up in this printing factory as a, quote, young executive. It was just bum boy. But I mean, I really didn't care at the time. But by the time I'd left Cromarty and gone back to Dundee, and I just didn't know what I was going to do, and that was a real light bulb moment. There was a future I could see.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know how long it was going to last because I still wasn't intent on staying in it, but it was an opening, and I jumped at it.
Yeah.
I don't think they paid my fare down.
You should claim that back.
I should do. I'll put in an invoice. But yeah, that was funny how these things happen in your life. You know, you don't plan them.
No.
And some people get shit ones, and you know, I got a good one there. But it's life.
Yeah.
It's now, if I'd been working on my story, I'd never have seen that coming. It's what I mean. It's my whole philosophy of writing.
Yeah.
It just happened, and it was a big break. Here I am, 50 years later. So it is 50 years later. It was 75. I went down. I think. Yeah.
If there was a key to being a writer, because plenty of people want to be and don't necessarily know where to begin, what is the best piece of advice you would give?
Be lucky.
Well, if it was that easy.
Well, I have, when people ask me about being a writer, I have 3 pieces of advice that I usually give them, one of which I generally can't remember. First one is, write. Nobody gets better by thinking about being a writer or thinking about being an artist.
Yeah.
You got to draw. You get better by drawing. You get better by writing. Take criticism when it comes. Don't like, if you send it in to an editor and you get criticism, don't argue with them. I mean, if you don't agree, keep your mouth shut, but take what you can from the criticism. Same with an artist. Take what you can from the criticism. The second thing is, be self-critical. Nothing you do, there's nothing you do you can't do better.
Yeah.
So when you do something, examine every aspect of it. Is there some way that I could make that character zing a bit more? Bring out the contradictions in that character? Is there some way I could make the comedic elements funnier? Is there, how can I improve this story? And keep at it. Don't dwell on a story. If you've written a story and it's not working, go on to the next one. Keep moving. But always question yourself. I mean, the number of times you get, like when I was working on editorial, I get something in, and the person who wrote it just couldn't see past what they'd done. They couldn't look at it and say, there's a better way of doing this. You have to be really critical. Like when I write a story, like I'll sit down and I'll write maybe 2 or 3 pages.
Yeah.
And when I come back to it the next day, I might just go over those 2 or 3 pages. I'll read those 2 or 3 pages and I'll look at them and say, well, that's not working. How can I make that better? And as you do it, you get ideas for what's happening in the future, the progression of the story. And you also get twists in the story. You think, oh, wait a minute, what if that happens? And so every day when I come back to a story, I go over what I've done before. So by the time I come to the end, I've probably been over the first part maybe 10, 15 times.
Yeah.
So, and changed it and altered it, even if it's just a word. So anyway, it's all about self-criticism. And the third thing is probably the most important: be nice to your editor, because your editor buys your story.
Yeah.
Don't mess him about. Don't get on his nerves or her nerves. Get a good relationship with your editor. That's important. If your editor criticizes you, don't argue. Take the criticism, look at it, take what you can. If you don't agree with all of it, take what you can from it, and work on what you've done, and work on being better. But that really is number one: good relationship with your editor. He's the one with the money.
Yeah.
And I have always had good relationships with editors. And if I don't work for them. If an editor really pisses me off, I say, well, that's that. No more. But I think you'll find any editor I've worked with will say, oh, he's really easy to get along with. You wouldn't believe it, but he's, a guy.
And on next week's episode, we'll be talking to all of John's editors over the years.
You can try it. I don't think you'll find one that says I was difficult to work, because I'm not. I'm sweetness itself.
Well, once again, thank you so much to John for sparing so much time to talk to me about his career, his work, his life. I really hope you've enjoyed that, because I really, really did. If this is your first experience of listening to John of 2000 AD, then I encourage you to go onto our YouTube channel and check out some of the other interviews we have with other creators, not just the old school people like John, Brian Bolland, Kev O'Neill, Ian Kennedy, but also some of the newer creators as well, because 2000 AD has been on fire for quite some time now. So an absolute treasure trove of interviews with some of the greatest creators in comic books. 2000 AD, the Creator Tapes, will be back in a month's time, when we will be interviewing, he was just referenced in this episode, Robbie Morrison, who is the co-creator of Nikolai Dante, of Shakara, of some absolutely incredible strips in 2000 AD. I realized that I'd not actually sat down with him for a good long chat, so it was a privilege to be able to go to his house and sit in his kitchen and natter away. So that episode will be going out on the 27th of March, 2026. So do check that out. Pop it in your diaries. But in the meantime, thank you so much again for listening to 2080 Creative Tapes. If you are not already a subscriber to our weekly podcast in orbit every Wednesday, then make sure you go along to YouTube or your podcast app and click that little subscribe button, because it's always a joy to introduce people to the world, the universes, the cosmos of 2000 AD. So we'll be back, as I said, in a month's time for a chat with Robbie Williams, Robbie Morrison. But until then, Earthlets, it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye on behalf of John Wagner. And until next time, Splundig Verthrig.